There is a truth that time teaches, but few are prepared to hear. Aging is not a life accident, but a silent conquest. Every wrinkle tells a story, every gray hair holds a lesson, and every slower step conceals the strength of one who has walked paths the young cannot even imagine. You, who have crossed decades, know that old age isn't about losses, but about accumulated wisdom, that kind of knowledge, not found in books, but in the gaze of those who've seen the world change so many times. The Bible, in its wealth of ancient wisdom, reminds us that the days of our years are 60 years and 10, and if by reason of strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow. For it is soon cut off, and we fly away. Psalm 90 verse 10. But this passage isn't a lament. It's a recognition. Your life has weight, value, and depth. Yet there's a challenge no one warned you about when you were younger. The more experience you carry, the more people around you begin asking questions. Some seem innocent, others even well-intentioned, but many are traps disguised as conversation. Questions that, if answered carelessly, can open doors to judgment, manipulation, and even disrespect toward your peace. Have you noticed how after a certain age people assume the right to know details about your life that no one would dare question before? From your finances to your relationships, your health to your most personal choices, suddenly everything seems to become public discourse. But here's the secret the truly wise know. You owe explanations to no one. Your life is yours. Your choices are yours. And your peace is a treasure worth guarding carefully. As a wise man once wrote, "A fool uttereth all his mind, but a wise man keepeth it in till afterwards." Proverbs 29 verse 11. This isn't a lesson about isolation or bitterness, but about discernment, the art of knowing what to share, with whom, and when. Because aging with dignity doesn't just mean having lived long, but having learned to protect what truly matters. In the coming minutes, you'll discover exactly which questions you should never answer in maturity, not out of fear, but wisdom, because some words, once spoken, cannot be taken back. Some information, when shared, gives power to the wrong people, and some questions, even when asked with a smile, carry intentions only those who've lived long enough can discern. Are you ready to learn the art of discretion that preserves friendships, protects families, and above all, safeguards your peace? Because this may be the most important lesson maturity has to offer. The first verbal trap you must recognize comes wrapped in gentle disguise as concern. How much money do you have saved for your old age? It seems like a simple question among friends, doesn't it? But let's look deeper. When was the last time you heard someone ask this same question to a 30-year-old? There's a profound reason why this line of questioning only emerges when the first gray hairs appear. Society, often unknowingly, begins viewing the elderly not as people, but as resources to be managed. The book of Proverbs, this ancient compendium of practical wisdom, offers powerful insight. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Your financial security wasn't won by chance. Every saved penny represents sleepless nights, silent worries, and countless sacrifices, only you know. Why then should this life's patrimony become lunchtime conversation? Experience shows that when you reveal details about your savings, even to close relatives, you're inadvertently planting seeds of expectation that may sprout as constant requests for temporary loans, pressures to cover others' expenses, or, in sadder cases, family disputes that sever bonds forever. Observe how, after sharing financial information, people's behavior around you may subtly shift. Some become unusually attentive. Others begin commenting on who really deserves your generosity. Your wisest response? A calm smile accompanied by, "I have enough for my needs, thank God," immediately followed by steering the conversation elsewhere. Remember, your finances are like your home's foundation. The fewer who know how they're built, the more secure they'll remain. Who are you leaving your inheritance to? This seemingly innocent question hides one of maturity's most dangerous traps. How often have you heard this inquiry, disguised as casual family chatter or even well-meaning concern? The truth is, few matters are as personal and delicate as inheritance plans, and fewer still cause as much family conflict when discussed prematurely. Biblical wisdom cautions us. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Proverbs 13 verse 22. Your material possessions represent far more than monetary value. They are the fruit of a lifetime of labor, sacrifice, and careful planning. When you share details about wills or inheritance distribution, even with the best intentions, you're inadvertently creating an emotional minefield. Children who were always close may begin questioning your decisions. Distant relatives may suddenly reappear with exaggerated displays of affection, and those who feel wronged may sow discord among siblings. Experience shows that entire families have been divided by inheritance discussions that began as simple conversations. The wisest path? Keep your plans completely confidential, sharing them only with your lawyer and, if you're a person of faith, in prayer. When pressed on the matter, responses like, "God will guide my decisions when the time comes," or, "That's all properly arranged with the appropriate professionals," gracefully but firmly close the discussion. Remember, a will is a document that should only be revealed when you're no longer here to explain it. This is perhaps the final demonstration of wisdom and family protection you can offer. Why don't your children visit you more often? This question carries an emotional weight that can shake even the strongest hearts. How many times have you heard this inquiry? At the pharmacy, the beauty salon, or during family gatherings? What appears to be innocent curiosity actually conceals veiled judgment about your family relationships. The truth is that bonds between parents and adult children are complex and deeply personal, shaped by decades of shared history and, often, unhealed wounds. Ecclesiastes reminds us there is a time for every purpose under heaven, and this includes the time each family needs to find its own equilibrium. When someone asks this question, they're rarely prepared to hear about the countless reasons that might lead a child to grow distant. Modern life priorities, career demands, the challenges of raising grandchildren, or in more painful cases, misunderstandings that time hasn't yet healed. The cruelest part is that this simple question can reopen wounds that were healing, making you question every parenting decision you've ever made. The wisdom here lies in recognizing that some stories don't need to be shared, and that family love isn't measured solely by visits or phone calls. When confronted with this question, responses like, "Every family has its own rhythm, and I respect my children's path," or, "We're always connected, each in our own way," protect your inner peace and end the discussion with dignity. Remember, the deepest relationships often transcend the need for constant demonstrations. True love knows how to wait for the necessary time to bloom again. Don't you think you're too old for that? This question, dressed in false concern, is one of the most limiting things an elder can face. How often have you heard this challenge when expressing a desire to learn something new, travel, or even change a habit? Society often tries to impose artificial limits on the elderly, as if the capacity to dream and achieve had an expiration date. Psalm 92 teaches us that the righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon, planted in the house of the Lord. They will flourish in the courts of our God. Psalm 92 verse 12 to 14. These verses reveal a powerful truth. Just as the oldest trees continue growing and bearing fruit, humans retain growth potential at every life stage. When someone questions your ambitions based on age, they're projecting their own limitations onto you. Modern science confirms what biblical wisdom anticipated. Our brains maintain learning and adaptive capacity until our final days. Inspirational examples abound, from Abraham becoming a father at 100 to artists creating masterpieces in old age. The wisest responses to this limiting question? Age has never been an obstacle for those with the will to live. Or, my years have only given me more wisdom to try new things. Remember, you need no one's permission to keep growing, learning and reinventing yourself. Each day is a new opportunity to prove that passion and purpose have nothing to do with the date on your ID, but with the fire that still burns in your heart. Do you still remember me? This apparently innocent question may conceal one of the subtlest forms of disrespect toward maturity. How often have you found yourself facing someone who, with a condescending smile, questions your memory as if the mere passage of years could erase your most precious recollections? The truth is, our capacity for remembrance doesn't disappear with age. It simply becomes more selective. You might not remember yesterday's lunch, but you certainly recall with vivid detail the moments that truly mattered in your life. The prophet Isaiah offers us divine comfort. Even to your old age I am he, and to gray hairs I will carry you. I have made and I will bear, I will carry and will save. Isaiah 46 verse 4. This passage reminds us that the essence of who we are remains intact, no matter how many years pass. When someone asks this question, they're often reinforcing the harmful stereotype that all elderly people suffer memory loss, which is far from true. An elegant response might be, I remember perfectly those who truly made a difference in my life. Or, my memory preserves what's truly worth remembering. This approach not only concludes the matter with dignity, but also makes the questioner reflect on the real value of your relationship. Remember, your mind has accumulated treasures no young person could comprehend, stories, lessons, and wisdom that form an invisible yet priceless legacy. Selective memory isn't a deficiency, but a gift of maturity that lets us focus on what truly matters. Has anyone ever asked you, isn't it time to consider a nursing home? This question, often posed under the guise of concern, can be among the most painful for those who value their independence. How often have you heard this suggestion disguised as well-meaning advice? The truth is that decisions about lifestyle changes should come exclusively from you, based on your actual needs rather than external pressures. Psalm 71 gives us powerful instruction. Do not cast me off in the time of old age. Forsake me not when my strength is spent. Psalm 71-9. This verse reveals profound understanding about the value of autonomy at every life stage. When someone prematurely raises the issue of nursing homes or assisted living, they're often projecting their own limitations or conveniences without considering your true desires and capabilities. The wisest response combines firmness and diplomacy. I appreciate your concern, but my housing decisions will be made in my own time with professional guidance if needed. Or, as long as I can care for myself safely, I intend to maintain my independence. It's crucial to remember that the ability to make decisions about your own life has no expiration date. Your home isn't just physical space. It's the setting of your memories, the refuge of your privacy, and the concrete expression of your freedom. No one has the right to rush a transition that should happen with care, respect, and above all, at the right time for you. True wisdom lies in recognizing when and if this change becomes necessary, without letting external pressures accelerate what might still be safely postponed. Shouldn't you be more calm at your age? This question reveals one of the greatest misconceptions about aging, the idea that maturity requires resignation and passivity. How often have you heard this remark when expressing enthusiasm for a new project, passion for a cause, or simply the desire to live life intensely? The truth is that our inner flame doesn't extinguish with time. It simply grows wiser in its expression. The book of Job offers us divine perspective. Wisdom is with the aged, and understanding in length of days. Job 12, verse 12. This verse reminds us that years shouldn't quench our zeal, but rather give it direction and purpose. When someone suggests you should calm down simply because you've reached a certain age, they're actually trying to impose artificial limits on your spirit. Life daily shows us examples of people accomplishing extraordinary things in maturity, from entering universities to leading important social movements. Your most powerful responses might be, "The tranquility I seek is peace of mind, not inactivity," or, "My years have given me precisely the wisdom to know when to act with passion." Remember, aging doesn't mean giving up on dreams, but rather dreaming with greater clarity. Each life phase brings its own forms of enthusiasm and fulfillment. And no one has the right to dictate how you should live your maturity. True wisdom lies in balancing the serenity gained through years with the inner fire that keeps us alive and relevant. Your right to feel moved, to be outraged by injustice, and to rejoice in achievements doesn't diminish with age. On the contrary, it becomes more authentic and well-founded. Why do you still insist on working? What about this question? Often asked with a tone of disapproval, fails to understand the profound meaning work can hold in mature years. How many times have you found yourself explaining why you continue practicing your profession or maintaining productive activities? Society often views work solely as a financial obligation, overlooking its value as a source of purpose, identity, and social connection. Proverbs teaches us, "A desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul," reminding us that the satisfaction of being useful transcends practical considerations. When someone questions your decision to keep working, they're projecting their own narrow views of what aging should look like. The truth is, work in later life takes on new dimensions. It becomes a choice, not an obligation, an expression of self, not just a means of survival. Scientific research confirms that staying professionally active, within healthy limits, provides cognitive, emotional, and even physical benefits for seniors. Your wisest response? "I work because I find joy in being productive." Or, "My lifetime of experience still has much to give." It's crucial to understand that the decision to retire or keep working is yours alone, based on your personal circumstances, health, and deepest desires. Mature work doesn't need to follow the same rhythms or pressures of youth. It can be adapted, reinvented, transformed into something that brings fulfillment without exhaustion. Remember, as long as you find meaning and joy in what you do, no biological or social clock has the right to dictate when you should stop. True retirement isn't a date on the calendar, it's the awareness of having fulfilled your purpose. Aren't you afraid of what's to come? Perhaps the most existential of all questions. This one touches on one of society's great taboos, the finiteness of life. How often have you faced this direct inquiry about your fears and concerns for the future? The truth is, maturity brings a unique relationship with time, not as an obsession, but as serene awareness. The Apostle Paul offers a transformative perspective. "For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain." Philippians 1 verse 21. Revealing that a life well lived naturally prepares us for what lies ahead. When someone asks about your fears of the future, they're often projecting their own unresolved anxieties. The wisdom accumulated over years allows you to face mortality not with terror, but with a blend of realism and hope that only those who've lived long can understand. Your deepest response might be, "I've learned that fearing the future only steals peace from the present." Or, "I've lived enough to know every season brings its own graces and challenges." It's important to recognize that questions about death and finality often say more about the asker than the one being asked. You've earned the right to set your own terms for this conversation, whether addressing it with honesty or redirecting it to more uplifting topics. The true wisdom of age lies in balancing awareness of life's brevity with full engagement in the present moment. Your years have granted you the privilege of understanding that some questions don't need definitive answers, just an inner peace that transcends the need for explanations. This may be life's greatest lesson. Living isn't about fleeing the inevitable, but fully embracing the time we're given, with all its beauty and mystery. Aging, when fully understood, is not a process of loss, but of sacred transformation. Each of these questions we've learned not to answer represents far more than a social trap. They are silent witnesses to the value you've accumulated over a lifetime. Your life is not an open book for others to leaf through at will, but a masterpiece whose deepest chapters are reserved only for those who've earned your trust. Biblical wisdom reminds us, "The wise heart stores up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool invites ruin." This is the essence of it all: discernment. You've fought battles many wouldn't understand, loved in ways few would recognize, and built a story that deserves respect, not idle curiosity. Every time you choose silence in the face of invasive questions, you're doing more than protecting yourself. You're teaching the world how to honor maturity with the dignity it deserves. This isn't about being closed off or distrustful, but about knowing some pearls should never be cast before those who don't recognize their worth. This is not an invitation to isolation, but to freedom. Freedom to choose what to share, with whom, and when. Freedom to live your golden years without exhausting explanations. Freedom to guard your peace as the sacred treasure it is. Because in the end, when we look back, we won't remember the questions we left unanswered, but the serenity we gained by not allowing others to invade our sacred space. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these questions do you hear most often? And more importantly, which will you stop answering today? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this message resonated with you, hit the like button. It helps spread these insights to others who need them. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and join us. We have many more discussions on wisdom, faith, and purposeful living ahead. Until next time, remember, your story isn't over. It's entering its wisest, most powerful chapter yet.